Living Our Values, Marian University's Title IX and Non-Discrimination Policy and Procedures. The Human Dignity Statement. The Human Dignity Statement is the underlying philosophy for how we choose to live together as a community of scholars and learners. Marian University was founded on the principles of the Judeo-Christian tradition. At the very center of this tradition is the affirmation of the value and sacred dignity of the human person. This principle is the cornerstone of the Marian University community. The Marian community strives to uphold the dignity of every person and to confront challenges to that dignity. The university does not tolerate inappropriate use of power or authority by its members, nor does the university condone any other violation of human dignity. Sexual harassing behavior. Sexual harassment is unwelcomed, gender-based verbal or physical behavior that is objectively offensive and is severe, persistent, or pervasive. The effect of harassment creates a hostile environment and or interferes with, denies, or limits a person's ability to benefit from Marian University's educational programs and or activities. Sexual misconduct. Marian University prohibits the following behaviors. We know the language here is pretty formal, but we need to be as clear and complete as we can. If you have questions about these codes of conduct, please don't hesitate to contact the Title IX coordinator or the Dean of Students for more information. We'll share more about who they are and how to reach them later. False imprisonment. This is the detaining of a person without that person's consent or against their will to leave. Harassment. Any unwelcome conduct based on actual or perceived status, including sex, gender, race, color, age, creed, national or ethnic origin, physical or mental disability, veteran status, pregnancy status, religion, sexual orientation, or other protected status. Domestic violence includes asserted violent behavior committed by the victim's current or former spouse, current or former cohabitant, persons similarly situated under domestic or family violence law, or anyone else protected under domestic or family violence law. Dating violence. Violence, physical, verbal, and or emotional, committed by a person who is or has been in a social relationship of a romantic or intimate nature with the victim. Whether there was such a relationship will be gauged by its length, type, and frequency of interaction. Non-consensual sexual attempted or actual contact. This is any intentional sexual touching, however slight, with any object, by one person upon another person, that is without consent and or by force. Sexual contact is defined as intentional, actual, or attempted bodily contact with the breasts, buttock, groin, mouth, or genitals, or touching another with any of these body parts, or making another touch you or themselves with or on any of these body parts, or any other intentional body contact of a sexual manner. Non-consensual sexual attempted or actual intercourse is any sexual intercourse, however slight, with any object, by one person upon another person, that is without consent and or by force. Sexual intercourse is defined as active or attempted vaginal penetration by a penis, object, tongue, or finger, anal penetration by a penis, object, tongue, or finger, and or copulation, mouth to genital contact or genital to mouth contact, no matter how slight the penetration or contact. Sexual exploitation occurs when a person takes non-consensual or abusive sexual advantage of another for his/her own advantage or benefit, or to benefit or advantage anyone other than the one being exploited, and that behavior does not otherwise constitute one of the other sexual misconduct offenses. Stalking. Stalking is engaging in a course of conduct composed of a series of two or more separate non-continuous acts directed at a specific person that would cause a reasonable person to fear for his or her safety, or the safety of others, and suffer emotional distress. Consent. Consent is knowing, voluntary, and clear permission, by word or action, to engage in mutually agreed upon sexual activity. Since individuals may experience the same interaction in different ways, it is the responsibility of each party to make certain that the other has consented before engaging in the activity. For consent to be valid, there must be a clear expression in words or action that the other individual consented to that specific sexual conduct. A person cannot consent if he or she is unable to understand what is happening, or is disoriented, helpless, asleep, or unconscious for any reason, including due to alcohol or other drugs. An individual who engages in sexual activity when the individual knows, or should have known, that the other person is physically or mentally incapacitated or lacks capacity has violated this policy. Incapacitation is defined as a state where someone cannot make rational, reasonable decisions because they lack the capacity to give knowing consent. For example, understanding the who, what, when, where, why, or how of their sexual interaction. This policy also covers a person whose incapacity results from mental disability, involuntary physical restraint, or from the taking of incapacitating drugs. Please note that alcohol consumption may lead to incapacitation, but simply consuming alcohol may or may not produce incapacity. Consent to some sexual contact, such as kissing or fondling, cannot be presumed to be consent for other sexual activities, such as intercourse. A current or previous dating relationship is not sufficient to constitute consent. A person can withdraw consent at any time during sexual activity by expressing in words or action that he or she is no longer interested in the act to continue, and if that happens, the other person must stop immediately. A minor below the age of consent, according to state law, cannot consent to sexual activity. This means that sexual contact by an adult with a person below the age of consent is a crime as well as a violation of this policy, even if the minor appeared to have wanted to engage in that act. In Wisconsin, the age of consent is 18. Reporting an incident. A person who's experienced sexual harassment or violence on campus can report it a number of ways. You can talk with a Title IX coordinator who will assist you in making a decision of how to proceed with a report or complaint. More on the Title IX team at Marian later. You can file a report or complaint with a campus safety officer, professor, staff member, resident assistant, student mentor, or anyone who is an employee with the ability to make a report to the Title IX staff. This includes almost all employees at Marian University. If you aren't sure, you can ask that employee if he or she can help you make the report or get you to someone who can. Our employees have been trained to get you to the right person. We want anyone harmed by sexual harassment and misconduct to report everything they feel comfortable reporting to a Title IX coordinator so that we can work to remedy the harm and make our campus community safe. However, we know it might not be a step someone harmed by these actions is prepared to take. If you need confidential help in deciding whether or not to file a report or complaint, you can talk with a confidential individual. This confidential individual still must report that misconduct occurred to a Title IX staff member, but the reporter will remain anonymous. We'll tell you more about who to see to do this later in the presentation. Just know, other than confidential individuals, all sexual harassment and sexual misconduct allegations made to responsible employees must be reported to the Title IX coordinator staff, and if the identities are known, those also must be included in the report. Marian University encourages all members of our community who are victims of sexual crimes to report the incident to the Fond du Lac Police. Any Title IX coordinator or campus safety officer will assist you in filing a complaint with the police. Investigations of sexual misconduct. Our processes begin with inquiry. That is, once we become aware of it, we look into the initial report a bit further to establish the time, place, and manner, as well as the names of parties involved and any witnesses to the reported sexual misconduct. We are required to investigate and intervene to stop any ongoing hostile environments that may develop or continue from sexual harassment. A reporter is not required to participate, but this may affect what remedies and actions the university can take to help with the situation. It also means that in some serious and potentially violent situations, we may continue to investigate and act, even if the person who was reported as harmed by sexual misconduct is not willing to participate in that investigation. We will then notify all parties that we are investigating. This includes offering advocates to help both parties through the investigation and to gather the statements and evidence presented by all involved. Once those are received, trained investigators will interview involved parties and witnesses, review evidence, and compile a report of the incident. While this is happening, the Dean of Students may have issued a stay-away order between the students involved. This means they are to have no physical contact nor communicate through any means with each other. This can be confusing. If you have questions, please contact the Dean of Students for more information. Once the investigators have gathered all the statements and evidence, both parties will get to review those statements privately. They can question other statements, put new questions to the other parties or witnesses, or offer more information. Any questions of the other party will be asked by the investigators privately. All responses are then reviewed by both parties. The parties involved will see and review everything that the investigators used to come to a conclusion on whether or not sexual misconduct occurred. That decision is written in the deliberation stage, and that decision is delivered to both parties simultaneously. Either party can appeal the decisions made. Remember, anyone involved in this process will have an advocate available to help them through this, and the investigators will answer any and all questions asked during the process. If you'd like more information about how the process works, you can contact the Dean of Students for more information. Support. All members of the university community have the right to be free from sex discrimination in the form of sexual harassment and unwanted sexual contact. Marian University is committed to appropriately addressing alleged acts of sexual harassment and sexual violence, whether the behavior occurs on or off campus, which impacts students, faculty, staff, and visitors to the campus. It is important to note the options for assistance following any incident of sexual harassment or sexual violence. Please remember that in cases of sexual assault, whether or not an individual chooses to formally report an incident, receiving immediate medical attention and/or counseling is vital to that person's overall health and wellness. Marian University's Title IX staff. There are a number of employees who make up our Title IX team. That team is led by Title IX Coordinator Miss Kate Candy. She is the Vice President for Student Engagement, and her office is in the Horning Student Center. She is assisted by two Deputy Title IX Coordinators. Dr. Paul Krickow is the Deputy Coordinator for Students. His office is also in the Horning Student Center. Miss Sabrina Johnson is the Deputy Coordinator for Employees. Her office is in Duplex 18 on the west side of National Avenue. The contact information for the Title IX staff is available in the Title IX section of the Marian University website. You can also pause this video to note the coordinator team contact information for yourself. Confidential individuals. There are 4 special people on this campus who are not required by Title IX to disclose the identity of an individual reporting sexual misconduct. Although we hope you'll report sexually harassing or violent environments on campus so we can maintain a safe and caring campus, we understand that doing so can be scary. We'd still like you to have caring professionals that you can talk to about what you've experienced. Ms. Robin Williams is our Director of Counseling Services, and Ms. Jody Schrouth is our Director of Health Services. Both of their offices are in Regina Hall in the basement. Sister Deb Walter is a counselor for the Working Family Programs. She's also available to you, and her office is in Stair 130. Sister Edie Cruz is our Director of Campus Ministry, and her office is in the Yellow House on the center of campus. The names and contact information for these individuals are available on the Title IX site of the Marian University website. You can also pause this video to note the contact information of any of these individuals. Community resources. There are many resources in the Fond du Lac City and County area that are available to you if you are harmed by sexual harassment or violence. This list is available on the Title IX site of the Marian University website. You can also pause this video to note any information you'd like for yourself. That's it. You now know our policies and the basic procedures for how Marian lives its values around healthy sexual relationships and how we respond to reports when sexual misconduct occurs. The next required section is a quiz to show you know the basics. Thank you, Sabers.